Anybody lose any money out there? Did you have fun?
It was okay. Vegas is good to get there and good to get home.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to start the workshop. Few people ain't here yet, but we're going to get it started. This is the workshop for the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for June 7th. This is June 2nd workshop. Bruce, you got the disclaimer?
Yes, sir. Hang on just 1 second.
As mayor, it's my duty to enforce order, officer call in Eubanks or the sergeant of arms, and will assist in maintaining order. By law, these wishes to speak during the citizen forum must limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. You will be advised when the 3 minutes is expired. If you continue to speak in excess of 3 minutes, you will be asked to stop speaking and leave the podium. If you fail to do so, you'll be subject to being escorted out of the building by the sergeant of arms. For the safety and security of all, no one is to approach the table where the board members and the city officials are being seated without obtaining permission from me. If you attempt to do so, you will be stopped by the sergeant of arms and will be subject to being escorted out of the building by the sergeant of arms. It is my sincere hope that everyone participates in the proceedings tonight will conduct themselves in a polite manner with respect shown to all regardless of disagreements. With that, Bruce, we'll get it started.
Okay. We do have one person that signed up for the Citizens Forum. Just as a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes to say whatever you'd like. The one person that signed up is Linda Steed.
Before my minutes start, could I ask that we all bow our heads, say a prayer for the pilot that died this afternoon? I thought we would do that before the meeting. Can we do it?
We can do it.
Let's
Everybody bow are you going to do the prayer?
I don't pray.
You just going to do
I think everybody does it in their own way. But I think we need a moment of silence.
We'll bow our head and have a moment of silence.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. I have a couple of things to say and a couple of questions. When I bought my first 3 bricks back in November of 15 by Julie Wilson, I was told that the certificates would be mailed to us when the bricks were ready. Oh, hold on. Okay. Now, I've approached you twice about the bricks, and you were very forthcoming about, gotta wait for the weather. I came to you it was either March or April, and you told me the same thing. Once the bricks were, I don't remember the word you used, carved or whatever, the certificates would be ready. You did, standing right there. Okay. I went down there Tuesday to buy a 4th brick in honor of my brother. And I was told by a Laura or Lori, oh, no, there's no certificates. I don't know where you got that story. That's probably something Kathy Tyson came up with. I said, lay it off on the girl that ain't here no more. What I want to know is when and how are we going to get these certificates? The girl told me Tuesday that you spoke to the brick mason and said that if we had known this in the beginning, it would have cost us $5 to $8 more for a certificate. But it wasn't done. Why were we not given that option? I would have been glad to pay the extra for the certificates. So I'm just,
Well, get with me afterwards.
But
well,
y'all get together
that's
after
why,
this.
that's why I wanted to do it in a public forum, because we've always done it face-to-face, one-on-one, and I want everybody to hear.
Well, my answer will
What's
be the
going
same.
on?
It's not necessary, but that's fine.
Well, okay,
We'll talk
okay.
afterward.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's the only one that was on the list, Mayor.
We're gonna run right into the workshop. I've got the prayer, the pledge of allegiance, it's with Alderman Brown. We need to look over the minutes for May 3rd, 2016 public hearing and May 3rd, 2016 regular meeting. And moving into workshop on old business, number 3, second reading ordinance 2016-03, an ordinance of the City of Laverne, Tennessee, adopting an annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. And there will be a public hearing on this item Tuesday before the meeting. Any question or discussion? I know this is second reading. We had this last month. This is to lower the tax rate down to 95 cents and to adopt the fiscal budget. Anybody have any further questions on this item? We can discuss it at workshop. If not, we're gonna move on to number 4.
Mayor, I just want to say this, and again, you all have heard me say it 5 times, but I'm going to say it I've been asked why I voted against this last month, and will vote against it again this month. This last week, 3 of us and our city planner went out to Vegas, and I think the city and its residents will be very pleased to know there's some positive things coming to Laverne. 3 years ago, the very same thing happened, and we got Walmart. Or we knew we got Walmart out there, and the tax revenue that comes with it. I'm going to just be very brief in saying this. Why I'm voting against this is the 2.5 cents that we're giving back again right now, which I do believe at some point the burden has to change over to hopefully retailers. There'll be no new revenue coming into the city, or we will see no new revenue, because more than that we are giving back in this 2.5 cents. So having said that I just wanted to, so people that have questioned me know why I'm voting against this, especially to a city that has the needs that we have. And I'll just end it right there.
Any other questions or comments on the budget or the lowering the taxes? All I got to say, a year and a half ago, the taxes were $1. Everybody, and me myself, thought that was way too high, and I wanted to lower it last year 10 cents, and that first year, and I thought it might be a little bit better to spread it out 2.5% for 4 years. I adjusted my thing, and I think that was still the right idea to do it. And the city's booming right now. The building's up, I think, and sales tax is up. Everything is up, and we went through about an 8-year recession, and hopefully we're done with that. And I do feel back 4 or 5 years ago, we raised taxes too high, and if we can lower it and hire 15 firemen and 6 policemen and a dozen police cars and all this, and still lower taxes, stuff is doing right. I mean, we're headed in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep on this trend. And that's basically what I got to say. Anybody else got anything else on this item? Not, we're going to move to number 4. Number 4, second reading ordinance 2016-04, an ordinance to amend Title 5, Chapter 4, Section 5-401 of the City Municipal Code regarding public advertising and confidential bidding required for purchasing over $10,000 Who's got this one? This is a second reading.
I can speak about this, Mayor. We did talk about this and it was approved last month, or the last meeting, on first reading. Currently, our policy and our ordinance allows, or requires, I should say, any purchase over $10,000 to be competitive bid and come back for council approval. This ordinance essentially changes that. We do have authority in the state law that allows us to raise that to up to $25,000. And that's what we're requesting. We feel that in the long run, it can actually save the city some money as far as the cost to actually advertise bids and get some hopefully better pricing. Typically, when vendors do sealed bids, they tend to raise their prices a little bit, and hopefully this will help us in the long run. So this will be second and final reading to make this change.
And this is the competitive bidding.
Yes.
I've got a lot of phone calls on this item, people concerned about where we moving it up to $10,000.
Well, it's $10,000 now. We're moving it up to $25,000. Basically, a lot of times when we have an item that costs more than $10,000, number one, it has to go out for competitive bidding. But, you know, a lot of times we have to wait until the council meetings are here so that it can be approved. So this will help kind of speed up the process when there's things that we need to purchase more quickly instead of waiting another month for council approval and scheduling and all of that. So that's the main reasons that we're doing. We think we can save money and get better pricing on the various things that we're going to purchase.
But this is still stuff that the council has already voted to.
It would be funds that are budgeted, yes. Yeah,
I mean,
it'll be things that are in the budget.
in the budget.
Anything that, you know, is not in the budget would still have to come back for a budget amendment if necessary. And, you know, obviously anything over $5,000 would require my approval, and I'm not going to approve anything without Phyllis to make sure the money is there. And that's coming up actually in a different item for the amendments to the purchasing policy.
So you and Philip both think in the long run it'll save the city money?
I think it can. I can't speak for Phyllis.
Any questions on number 4? That's second reading of the competitive bidding requirements. I know this is second reading. We had it last month. Hearing no questions concerned, we'll move on down to consent agenda. I don't see Felicia here. It'd be A, approved city bids and purchases. Number 1, bid Hurricane Creek Greenway Phase 2.
Mayor, this is, you know, like we talked about last month, I think it's last month before, we had to rebid this because the state would not concur with the last time we bid it out because of some of the contract requirements conflicted with the federal requirements and because of the monies involved. So we had to rebid it. We got the bids back. You should have a recommendation letter, which is on the screen. Sessions Paving Company was the low bidder. This was actually about $152,000 cheaper or lower cost than the last time it was bid out, so it's better on that. And pretty much this is just rebidding that Greenway, and then we'll, you know, if y'all go with Sessions Paving, we'll have to submit this back to the state for concurrence, and hopefully this time they'll concur with the low bidder and we can get this project moving. And it is within budget.
Anybody any questions on number 1? If not, we'll move on number 2. It's a bid, Madison Square Sewage Pump Station.
Wait, excuse me a second. So actually, by going back, we actually saved money.
We saved money. We took a few things out since we was rebidding anyways. Last time, like trash receptacles and the benches and stuff that we feel like we can do in-house, the contractors marked those up really high. So we thought we might take those out and save. I think that was only going to be about $30,000, but it was a substantial amount of money we'd save doing it in-house. So we took some of those things out, and that's all we took out, and but it come back $152,000 lower than what the last bid was. Well, this bid was about $1,471,000. The last bid was about $1,623,000 was the low bidder. So it's turned out better for us.
Anything else on number 1? Number 2 is Madison Square Sewage Pump Station approval. I see CDI, is that you?
Sir, good afternoon. I believe the city budgeted about $250,000 for Cedar Ridge Pump Station and for Madison Square Pump Station. We bid Madison Square Pump Station the 19th. We had 7 bids. Our low bid was $162,950. I had based my estimate on the Cedar Ridge Pump Station, and I estimated $175,000. So we're under budget. We're under my estimate. The low bidder was PPMI Construction Company. They are a contractor out of Indiana who's recently opened a Nashville area office in Laverne. Their project manager for this project has significant experience in this type of pump station. Therefore, we recommend that the City of Laverne award Madison Square Pump Station improvements to PPMI Construction Company at a price of $162,950.
Any questions on number 2, the Madison Square Sewage Pump Station? Hearing and seeing nothing, we're gonna move number 3, bid sewer manhole lining. Michael?
Yes, sir, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Alderman. Starting July 1, we're wanting to start a rehab program on all our manholes that are damaged and, in bad need of repair. And CTR came in, we had a bid opening, they came in a little high. We did some research on sewer rehab services that was under bid of CTR. We did not get good references from anyone that's worked with them. So we're recommending that we go with CTR coatings for our rehab program.
Any questions on the, excuse me, the sewer manhole lining? Michael, he's up here if you need any questions. He's ready to answer. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you,
Moving
sir.
on to number 4, GSA contract pricing, copy machine list for City Recorder's Department.
Mayor, the current copy machine lease runs out at the end of June. This is a new lease for a new machine that will start, I believe, July 1st. The current rate that we're paying, I believe, is around $329, $330 a month, and this one is actually right at $300 a month, so it's a little bit cheaper. So this is another lease for another 5 years for another copy machine, to replace a copy machine.
Any questions? Pretty well, this is self-explanatory, but any question on number 4? If not, we'll move to number B, approval donations to the Senior Citizen Program from Lowe's. What is Lowe's giving us?
Well, we're not sure yet. It depends on how many of the vendors they can talk to and how much stuff they can get, those guys to donate. If I'm not mistaken, one of our senior advisory committee members, Tony Vanetta, got the ball rolling on this and initiated it and told them about us, and they reached out to us. They want to give us a donation in the amount of $1,500 is the monetary amount. But any donations they can get from vendors like, a grill or picnic tables or whatever will not come off that $1,500. They did something similar for Smyrna last year for $1,500, but they ended up in total amount getting about $40,000 worth of stuff. It just depends on the vendors. There's no guarantee that it'll be that much, or it might just be $1,500, but $1,500 is $1,500 that the senior center doesn't have right now. So and we're going to try to put it toward a little outside area, picnic tables and umbrellas and stuff, so the seniors can, have a little room to expand outside on nice days. So, yeah, for patio furniture and stuff like that.
Anybody, any question on the senior program? C, approved donation for equipment for the fire department from Hot Topics. Iceman?
Mayor Alderman, we were approached last week by Hot Topic here in Laverne, wanting to do something, wanting to give back a little bit to the community and give back to the fire department. We've had an excessive amount of responses to their location in the past year, most of which have been medical calls. Well, we've received I don't know the exact number, but we've responded a lot on medical situations to their business. and they were wanting to give back a little bit to the fire department and give back to the community. And so they contacted Chief Clark last week and wanted to know what they could do to give back. Well, our first response is always, we're not asking for anything from anybody. You pay taxes in the city, your business is here and bringing revenue and jobs and all like that. But they were adamant that they wanted to still do something for the fire department and to bring something back to help the community. One of the projects we've been working with, and the police department has been working on this as well, is dealing with the TDOT smart cams, which we now have 2 that are in our area of I-24 corridor that we can see the interstate, the flow of traffic, the traffic accidents, all of those things. The issue is that we don't currently have any equipment at any of our stations where we can see those traffic cameras. The police department, I think, is working on some stuff too. I haven't got to talk to Brian about their portion of this, but what we're asking for here is to be able to accept the donation of equipment, not money, but equipment from Hot Topic. They're wanting to put a 65-inch monitor, the computer, and the mounting equipment at Station 2, which services the I-24 corridor, in order for us to be able to look at these TDOT cameras. One thing that will help with that is when a person calls in on I-24 for a car wreck or a car fire or whatever, they're not sure where they're really even at. So a lot of times we just have to go off what little bit of information that dispatch has and can give us as to which direction we need to go. Having to go all the way down to Sam Ridley and turn around to come back to something we could have gotten off going westbound for is a lot of time saved. So one of the things that this would do is give us the ability to be able to see the interstate both directions. To see, where is the car fire? Where is this wreck? How many cars are involved? What exactly are we dealing with? And just the flow in general of traffic every day. So what we're asking, this is a two-part thing, and I don't know, Bruce, we may want to separate it, but one is asking permission from council to accept this donation. The monetary amount of it is $1,518.45. As I said, they're going to purchase the equipment and deliver the equipment to us, and then we can install it in-house. And with Glenn's help and Nick and Brian, we'll be able to get everything hooked up. The second part of this is actually more or less, I guess, Bruce, a user agreement with TDOT, which we would obviously have to have Evan to read over, but it's just that. It's a user agreement with the Tennessee Department of Transportation in order for us to have live feeds. And we're not asking for that just for the fire department side. That's a blanket coverage for the whole city. So that would cover what the police department was needing as well. I think there's even some links there to where we can even put it live on Channel 3 if we wanted to. I mean, it's pretty much open-ended for the public to be able to see what type of traffic is flowing on the interstate at any given time. So, as I said, it's a two-part deal here. One is for the approval for us to accept the donation from Hot Topic, and the second part would be for us to allow Bruce and the city attorney to accept the user agreement from the TDOT. Any questions?
Any question for Ricky while he's on the spot? Thank you, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Moving number D, approved service agreement with Motorola Solutions, software upgrade for the radio system. Chief?
Is that the 80 or the 65 one, Bruce?
80.
All right, this is our contract with Metro for anything that we have with them, our connectivity, et cetera, that they have to do on their end, and that's what they're charging us. This is what we've been talking about since when? Last fall. We knew it was going to be coming at us, and then we talked seriously about it. I believe it was February when Juan was here from Nashville Wireless to explain that side of it. But they won't be doing any more fixing for us. We have to have somebody fix ours, but that's providing the connectivity and any updates that they have. Anybody have any questions about that one? It's already in the budget to increase the amount and so on and so forth. That's there. But this is on the contract side itself.
Any question for the chief on the contract?
And for
Okay,
those who were wondering, the Blue Angels have announced that they won't fly this weekend. and that's understandable.
Moving on, I guess, E, it would be approved service agreement with Motorola Solutions. This is a maintenance program for the radio system equipment.
We don't have a maintenance contract or an agreement with a Motorola certified vendor. Nashville Wireless is the vendor. There's a lot of direct connect with Nashville Wireless, so and Motorola systems as a whole. This is for them to do any maintenance on any radio we have, whether it's a portable, whether it's a mobile, whether it's our back-end equipment, our consoles and dispatch, et cetera. Nashville Wireless was the group that we actually purchased all those items through from Motorola, and they're the ones that actually did all the installations and the initial setting up. But we have no one who can service those in any form or fashion, and this gives us 24/7, 365 service on our back-end equipment and 24-hour, I believe it is, on any portable, mobile, et cetera, et cetera. So this provides us continuous operations unless someone cuts an AT&T fiber line and we go down like we did last week, but so did a lot of others.
Now, this was a gentleman was in here, February, right? Now, he's the one that's gonna do this.
Yes, Juan is the rep there for that company that handles all the project management stuff for us, for Motorola. Very knowledgeable young man.
Okay. Any further questions on any of the D or E while the chief's on the podium? If not, that rounds up the consent agenda. Moving on to new business, number 6, first reading ordinance 2016-05, an ordinance to amend the 2016-15 fiscal year general fund budget. I take it this is something we do every year, Bruce?
Phyllis can speak better to this. Yeah, this is kind of one of those resolutions to even out, balance our budget the way it's supposed to be, and Phyllis can talk more about what this is for.
This one is the general fund budget amendment. We had an increase in insurance this year. We had some increase in machinery and equipment. Increase in police car repairs of about $25,000. And then, of course, we have the THDA grant expense of $64,130, and we have already gotten reimbursed for that, so that's just pretty much a wash. And part of the fire department equipment was also funded through a grant. So this is just some cleanup to, items that came into play during the year that we didn't budget for.
Basically, we do it every year.
Yes, we do this every year. Any department that goes over or for whatever reason, we have to do a budget amendment.
Any questions on the general fund budget? Number 7, first reading ordinance 2016-06, an ordinance to amend the 2015-2016 fiscal year police impact fund budget.
It's the same thing again here, where we bought police cars. The cost of the cars were about $8,000 more than what we budgeted, so we're going to take that balance out of the fund balance to cover that.
And how many cars was that?
5.
5. We're getting 5 and one out of drug fund. We're getting a total of 6 cars.
It was 5 altogether.
It's 5 total. How many patrol cars did we order in December?
One replacement for the wreck car. One replacement for a wreck car, right?
Yes.
The 5 that we have out there? One was a replacement.
Those 5 no, we had the replacement. Those 5 were the add-ons.
Yeah, the 5 out back is a brand new.
Those 5 were the add-ons. We actually got a replacement utility for that one, for the one that was wrecked. Those 5 are to delete some of those Chargers and Impalas now because we're spending so much money on them, and it's
That's
all.
the 5 that's out right now.
Well, no, they're actually down there waiting to get all the stuff.
Oh, y'all moved it.
They got moved this
Yes,
weekend.
moved them Monday? No, Tuesday. Moved them Tuesday.
And then we're getting one to replace the one that was wrecked.
It's already here, and it's almost ready to go.
And
It's-
then we're getting another one out of drug fund.
No, we're getting that this next fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah, the new replacements for our, what, 3 in the Capitol?
I think so.
For the 3 new people, and we'll put
I'm
Put
sorry,
those
we get so
out.
many of them, it's hard for me to keep up with.
Well, we didn't know what we were gonna have for this next fiscal year. And we had to do something because those old cars were absolutely killing us with the repairs that we have to have made on them. We had one that was, 3 days in 1 week, had to go in to, every time they'd fix something, they'd take it out and they'd drive it half shift and have to park it because something else had broken on it. And it's just a constant, every time you turn around on those old ones. And they weren't police package vehicles to begin with, and that was part of the problem.
Okay. Any question on the police deal? Moving on, number 8, this is a resolution, 2016-12, a resolution of the city of Laverne to appropriate funds to nonprofit organizations. New business. Any questions on number 8, the resolution of nonprofit organization? Bruce, can you explain it a little bit?
Yes, sir. This is a resolution that we do every year to appropriate the funds that are in the budget to basically authorize the payment of these funds after July 1st. The grand total this year is $164,192, and you can see the list there in front of you of the various nonprofits that this will cover. This is just a standard resolution we do every year. We talk about the nonprofits during the budget process, and then this resolution actually authorizes the appropriation of these funds.
I know I mentioned last year about city getting involved in it a little bit, but we hadn't got it completed yet. But hopefully next year we can start some kind of deal that we can cut into that $160,000 to save the taxpayers a little money on it. But
Well, a lot of these that are on the list are not really true nonprofits. I mean, they are identified as a nonprofit organization, but many of these actually provide various services to the city. And so, but we do cover them on that list just to make sure everything's okay.
Seeing no question, we'll move number 9, resolution 2016-13. It's a resolution to amend the city of Laverne purchasing procedures.
Mayor, we talked about this last month and mentioned a little bit earlier. This is the actual resolution to change the purchasing policy. Of course, we've already talked about raising the sealed bid limit from $10,000 to $25,000. This resolution makes those changes as well, but it also talks about any purchases over $5,000. Instead, now we currently have to bring them before City Council for approval, but what we're looking to do is in the future have the city administrator, my approval, and of course I'm going to be checking with Phyllis on each one of those to make sure it is a budgeted item, the funds are there. That would help speed up our process on some of these things instead of waiting a month for council approval. We're also looking at raising the competitive quote limit from $1,000 to $2,500. It's hard for some departments, especially Parks and Rec maintenance, to buy a lot of things for less than $1,000 that they need when they're doing projects and things. And we're having trouble getting a lot of quotes from various vendors because if they don't get it in the past, they don't want to submit a quote because they don't think they're going to be considered. So here again, state law does allow that we allow us to raise that quote limit to 40% of the bid limit, which with us raising it to $25,000, we could go a whole lot higher than $2,500, but I think $2,500 would be more appropriate to require quotes on. So those are the main changes that are in this resolution, and you can read through the actual purchasing policy in your packet, and this will be on for approval Tuesday night.
I don't know if the other one of this one is the one that people were most concerned about me calling, but this is stuff that items that still, it's got to be approved of the council?
Currently, anything over $5,000 has to have council approval. This does away with that requirement, but still requires the city administrator to sign off any purchases over $5,000. The bid limit obviously is going to $25,000 if the ordinance is approved. But anything between $5,000 and $25,000, I would be able to approve. And of course, I'm not going to approve it if it's not a budgeted item and the funds are not there.
I think this was the one I think I was getting the most calls on. Anybody got any questions? Basically, we're moving it from 5,000, sitting right now, up to 25,000.
For the approvals on that portion of it, there's other things in there too.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this? I know this has been a hot issue with people calling me, so I don't know if any of y'all had any calls on it or not, but it's a good time to ask Phyllis or Bruce to clarify anything. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 10. This is a resolution 2016-14, a resolution to adopt a drought management plan for the city of Laverne. This is something that the state of Tennessee just required us to do, and it's for if we go through a period of time we don't get no rain and the lake water gets low, and we're going to have us a plan in place.
Yes, sir, that's correct. A few months ago, we found out that the state is requiring all cities, I believe 3,000 customers or more, have to have a drought management plan put into place by the end of June. I want to thank Severn Trent for their help. They've helped us greatly in compiling this plan. What is in the packets is what we've come up with. There's various levels depending on the various conditions of the drought. But it doesn't just cover droughts. Like if we have a major water leak and water is in short supply, we can put some of these steps into place. This is also in conjunction with our neighboring cities. They all have to have one as well. And so hopefully they will all be working together in case we do have a major issue with the lake being low and things like that. So this is a state required plan that we have to have in place, and that's why we're bringing it to you now.
Any questions on the drought deal? I know the lake, it was on the news the other day, the lake is about 6 foot down from summer pools, so we're headed into the dry season, so this might play right in this year. Any questions? Not, we move on. Number 11, it's a resolution 2016-15, a resolution to accept McFarland Point subdivision, Section 8. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission back on May 31st, 2016. Any questions on the McFarland Point subdivision, Section 8? I know that subdivision, Bruce, I think is getting pretty well to the end.
I'm not sure how much is left of that. We accepted 9 and 10 last month. I think we still have 11 and 12 out there.
Sections 9's got a few lots left to be built on. Section 11 and 12 will still have to be approved or accepted by the council. And then section 11 and 12 still has some lots to be sold, so. But he's in the process of wanting every one of them accepted, so 11 and 12, you might see 11 probably, or section 12 probably next month, or the month after, and then probably a couple months from now, section 11.
I was out there, I think last week or week before last, it looked like they done put the finishing pavement down on the roads, it looked like.
Utilities, the roads, everything has been, like you say, the final topping was done just a few weeks ago for the whole area, so everything out there is basically built. It's just a matter of finishing all the final paperwork and just getting everything in order.
Any questions on the McFarland Point deal? Number 12, this is a motion to approve an encroachment agreement for the above-ground swimming pool to be located in the public utility and drainage easement at 1122 Popular Holler Drive. I think this is a thing that Randolph turned down, but it went to a Bozel, and the Bozel passed it, but it still needs, council approval.
Mayor, I'll try to give a 30,000-foot overview, and then if Kristen and Randolph want to fill in some of the details, they can do that. But basically, as I understand it, Mr. and Mrs. Miller own a lot that has a 50-foot city easement on it for drainage, I think, and also for public utility, I think, Kristen, on that. So there's a 50-foot easement on that property, and they applied. I think they want to install an above-ground pool on their property, but installing the pool would have placed it within the city's easement. So I think on that basis, and I'll let Randolph, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on that basis, Randolph denied the request to put the above-ground pool. So Mr. and Mrs. Miller then take their appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals to appeal Randolph's decision to deny them building the pool, and the Board of Zoning Appeals granted them permission to build the pool, i.e. they overrode Randolph's decision to deny them that. Now, under a typical set of circumstances, like, for example, if it's a setback line, like we have, setback lines in various subdivisions, then it's no problem for the BZA to say, that's fine, if you're a foot over the setback line, then we'll grant you a variance, 2-foot variance, whatever it is. What makes this different is that this is not a setback line, this is an easement. And an easement is actually a property interest. Just like if you own property, it's an ownership type property interest that the city has, and that the BZA does not have authority to allow anybody to infringe on a city's property right. The only body that can legally allow somebody to infringe on a city's real estate property right would be the city council. So what you've got before you is basically a decision to make about whether or not you are inclined to allow Mr. and Mrs. Miller to build their pool over into the city's easement, and by virtue of doing that, have them sign an agreement indicating that they are encroaching on the city's easement, and that in the event the city needs to use the easement or decides for whatever reason that we don't want the pool on the easement anymore, that they've got to tear their pool down. And that's the agreement that you have before you. So really the decision that you have to make is, do we want to allow somebody to build something within the city's easement? And if we do, then my recommendation to you is, and I don't have a thought one way or the other, that's your decision. But if you do decide to allow to do that, my recommendation would be that you have them sign this agreement so that they understand in the event the city needs to use the easement, that they're responsible for tearing the pool down and giving the city its easement back. And I'm happy to answer any questions. That's a lot of stuff.
The only problem I have with that, the Millers would be fine, but now what would happen if the Millers 2 years from now sold that property, the new owners come in, and they may or may not be aware of that, and then we have to go in and tear the pool out, and they say, we bought it with the pool, and now the city won't tear our pool down.
Well, and you're right, Mayor, that's a concern. And again, to be clear, I'm not advocating for or against either position. What I want you to understand, though, is too, that if the city adopts and approves this agreement, then it would be recorded at the Register of Deeds office. So it would be a matter of record, meaning that whoever buys this real estate in the future would be on record that the pool is only there to the extent the city allows the pool to be there. And so they would know, or at least have constructive knowledge at the time they bought the property, that that's the deal they've got. So it should not be a shock to anybody if that happened.
Two concerns I have. Number one, we have done this in the past, if I'm not mistaken. We have allowed residents to, whether they went in the easement legally to begin with, they've had sheds and so on, that we've kind of said, okay, and had a similar agreement. So with us having done that, I mean, would this be setting a precedent? I mean, and really it's small concern, because if they were wanting to build an in-ground pool, that would be a different concern. But a above-ground pool, I'm assuming the cost is much cheaper. So I guess my point is, legally, are we setting a precedent by doing this, or have we already by allowing others before that have built sheds and so on? And
You know, I think that's a really good question. When it comes to that, I think you would always view these on a case-by-case basis, because a lot of times these things are going to be unique to the shape of the property or the particular thing. Like Alderman Broker, your example is great. Is this above ground that could be semi-easily removed, or are you talking about actually putting a permanent structure in? That would be different. I do think it's probably a good idea for the city to have some sort of idea in your mind. Is this something we're going to start allowing on a regular basis? And if so, is it going to get out of hand? Or is this something we should only allow on very rare occasions based on certain circumstances? I wish I had a good answer for you, but I think that is a legitimate concern.
Is that property, is it in a cul-de-sac, or is it in a what they call a critical lot deal? Is it something unusual about it?
It's just that easement runs the length of Poplar Hollow Drive, so it's the 50-foot public utility and drainage easement is along everybody's backyard that's on that street. So again, it's more than double the width of a normal drainage easement, and where the pool is going to be located, there will still be close to the 20 feet of easement that's unobstructed. So it's almost the width of a regular easement anyway. And so I think that was part of the reason that the Board of Zoning Appeals, voted.
Anybody there got fences that's on the easement now?
Yes, there's lots of fences. There's some similar sheds and accessory structures along that.
Already on Poplar Drive?
Yes.
Okay. So the question with Evan is, the President's already been said, it's already been proven that it's already been.
Well, sometimes people put things in the easement, as Evan stated. Like a fence, if it's less than 8 feet, it doesn't require a permit. So sometimes people will put up a fence and the city won't even know it, and it may be in an easement. And again, it doesn't become an issue until the city needs to get into that easement. So again, the Millers expressed to the Board of Zoning Appeals that they understand the risk, that they bear the risk if there is any kind of issue in the future. But at the time, Mr. Christensen did advise that it would be good to have it, signed off in writing that they understand that risk exists.
Evan, if somebody buys that property, I mean, are they gonna know about it, or are the realtors going to have to tell them about it? I mean, how are they gonna know about it?
They're going to have what's called constructive knowledge, meaning that we can't sit here and say for sure that they're going to do their homework and investigate it like they should, but it would be a matter of public record that would be available for anybody who would bother to look. And so if they're doing their due diligence, they should. And let me also add, to the extent that there's anybody in the city that has put any structure on a city easement or in city property without permission or with permission, it will not trump the city's easement. So the city at any point in time can come in and take that down without recourse. Okay, so I want that to be clear to everybody, that just because you put something up and the city never said anything about it or didn't do anything about it, doesn't mean all of a sudden that that's okay and we can't come in and take it down, because we can if we have to.
Okay. Any further questions?
I've got one question. Actually, this is going to be two structures, isn't it? Because if they put a swimming pool, they're going to have a fence behind that swimming pool, right? And I don't see a fence right now.
Not on Bubba.
Not necessarily.
Only if it's
Pool itself, but service area.
Okay. As long as it backs up against that tree line.
I think as long as it's 48 feet or higher, it doesn't require a fence. 48 inches. We're not talking about yeah.
Actually, the pool itself serves as a fence.
Right, it's 48 inches.
Right.
And any part of that diameter of that pool that's not 48 inches, then it has to have some type of barrier protection. Generally a post, some post lattice or some physical barrier to keep that. In other words, if they cut into a hillside, and then all of a sudden you got one end of your pool is only 30 inches, and that has to be protected. But as long as the pool itself is 48 inches clear in height, all the way around it, it serves as a barrier which does not require a fence.
Any other questions? Now we're gonna move down to number 13. Approve or remove board committee members. A, FYI, Economic Development Advisory Committee, one term expires 6/30/16.
Yes, sir. The term for Eric Tutavini expires at the end of June. This will not be on the agenda for Tuesday night. We will contact him to see if he wishes to remain on this committee, and we'll bring this back at the July meeting. With that decision, we are advertising it, or we will start advertising it on Channel 3 to see if we get any other applications, but this is just information purposes tonight.
All right, so now we're down to mayor and alderman comments. Alderman Broker?
Yes, sir. I'd just like to ask everyone to keep the Steelman family in their prayers. Tragic loss 2 days ago. Just please pray for them.
Alderman Jones?
Nothing.
Alderman Brown?
Just like to say our prayers definitely go out to the person playing the Blue Angels that passed away today in Smyrna.
April? April's with us tonight, but she's in pain. I can feel for her. I had the same thing done earlier, so glad you was here to tough it out. And tell everybody about the Rescue Squad Fish Fry, Saturday, June 4th. It's from 4 to 8. Everybody come out and give some fish. And everybody keep the Victory family in the prayers for their loss. And naturally, the bad day for military planes in USA. Had one to crash out west, and the pilot survived, but the one in Smyrna wasn't so lucky. But it just goes to show you stuff can happen quick, and keep the military in the prayers, because everybody does a great job, and so is the fire and police department too, because stuff can happen quick there too, and everybody needs to appreciate everybody's work. Everybody do a good job. And I don't have anything else, so this workshop is over.